Let's take you back out to the tank. Sheng Peng joining us. And as we look at the list of names on the Sharks roster that are probably front runners to be moved by the deadline, players like Ferraro, Granlund, Hoffman, Duclair, maybe Kaapo Kähkönen, can't we also say that there's probably two different groups here, players who are under contract next season and also players who will be UFAs after this season concludes?
Yeah, definitely. Players like Anthony Duclair, Kaapo Kähkönen, I think that they're very likely to get moved. They're both pending UFAs. From what I'm hearing about both those guys, maybe you're looking at hopefully third-round picks or somewhere thereabouts. The other two you mentioned, Ferraro and Granlund, they both have term, and so I think they're both interesting cases because they're both cases where the Sharks don't have to move them, but if they get the right offer, then I can see the Sharks moving either or both of them.
I'm going to state the obvious just to get it out of the way. The Sharks want picks. Is that all they're looking for here in return? Are there other possibilities of things they could get back from whatever they give up?
I think it'll make sense for the Sharks to also target younger players who are kind of close to maybe going on waivers and their ELCs, guys that were drafted 2018-19. So younger players along those lines, I think, could be who the Sharks might target. Guys like, they obviously signed Filip Zadina over the summer, guys like that where maybe give them a second chance. Maybe a few years ago they had a little more kind of heat around their names, and so guys like that.
You know, the week going into the trade deadline is always uncomfortable, no matter what team you're on, but especially so for the Sharks group where they're at. The writing is a little bit on the wall that a lot of players are out there in terms of being possibilities. More on that in a second, too. What has it been like in recent times as you're in the Sharks dressing room and all these guys know that there could be drastic changes quick?
I think it's been actually surprisingly loose, all things considered, and also considering the record. I think it's one of those things where the guys kind of know they're professionals, so they've been around this already, and they've kind of known. Writing has been on the wall since really the drop of the puck this season.
Yeah, and I mentioned that there could be drastic changes, but Sheng, looking at the Elliot Friedman report, and you got to respect his knowledge of this situation, and he wouldn't put it out there if there wasn't something to it. He says that there's not a lot of teams clamoring for what the Sharks are offering out there in terms of trade possibilities. What do you make of that statement and that headline?
It sounds like roughly what I hear from my own sources, but I will add a caveat to that, though, that the choice players, the first choice players, those players are going to go first. The Sharks players, obviously, they're on a 15-win team this deep into the season. In most cases, these aren't going to be your first choice players. So once those top of the line players, top of the market players go, the Sharks players, I think, will become more attractive by Friday. Just maybe not right now.
Yeah, it's a good point. And you know what? There have been other critical moments of the Sharks franchise, things they need to get back in return. I don't know if this trade deadline is exactly that. The upcoming draft and other things down the line will probably play more important factors.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure. I mean, they're not, I don't think this is also a trade deadline where they're going to get back what they got back last trade deadline for Timo Meier, a first-round pick, a top prospect like Shakir Mukhamadullin. So I think this trade deadline we're talking about just sort of supplemental picks, that sort of thing, and then all eyes are on the draft lottery in a couple months.
Sheng, thanks for doing this. Pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you.